right, folks, it's Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, and we're here for Public Works meeting. We're going to start that off with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Roberts.
Here.
Pettigrew.
Here.
Lehman.
Here.
Ham.
Here.
Roseland.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. Next up is the adoption of the agenda. I would like to make one change to item 7 as we adopt. Project number 232759 should read project number 232762. If I can get a motion with that change.
Second.
Motion by Roseland, second by Roberts. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up is general public comment. I don't have any general public comment speakers. Mr. Coleman will get to your item at the next comment period. So we're going to go on to items 1 through 12, and we're going to start off with the Public Works Department.
There we go. Thank you. Item 2 to authorize staff for bids, well 6 rehabilitation project, CIP number 51413. That one is, we found some grit and sand within the well, so they're going back and authorizing bids to rehab that well to make that more functional for us. Item number 3, authorize staff to advise for bids for Sheridan Lake Road construction, Corral Drive to Catron Boulevard, CIP number 51122.2. That is that major rehab of that Sheridan Lake Road project. That will increase that to a 5-lane with a turning lane. There's also some retaining walls and sidewalk, as well as some utilities in that project. Item number 4, authorize staff to advertise for bids for 1 current model 1-ton pickup for the water division. It's, that one is to, essentially they need a larger vehicle so that they have the ability to tow some of their equipment. Project number 5, or excuse me, item number 5, approve change order F7 CIP number 51212 is Omaha and La Crosse. That one is to decrease with a decrease of $84,275.33. We also have item number 6. It's a change order for CIP project number 51170. That one is to increase for $8,336.76. Item number 7 is to authorize mayor and finance director to sign agreements between Rapid City and FMG Engineering for professional services. This is project number, as you said, 72759. That one is to help us update our computerized mapping system of our utilities. We currently use a lot of card files and PDF hand-drawn, essentially, files, and so that will update that and get that into our computer system and GIS. Item number 8, authorize the mayor and finance director to sign an agreement for professional services for FMG for the water survey project. That is CIP number 51407. That one is in conjunction with our master plan. That is on the back end of the master plan. We surveyed a significant portion of Rapid City, but there are a few zones that are still needing to go into our GIS system. So again, that kind of ties back into the previous item. Item number 9, authorize the mayor and finance director to sign Title VI program plan required by the FTA to receive their grant funds. That is to ensure that we provide a public transit system that is available for all without discrimination. So it allows us to, that's a 3-year event that we have to do, basically an audit of our system. So that happens every 3 years. Number 10 is to seek proposals for engineering services, water treatment process evaluation. That one is multi-tiered. That is to look at our use of chlorine within our system and to find perhaps alternatives that are a little bit safer. Currently, we use chlorine gas. So we're going to reevaluate that. This also includes our zebra mussels. As you know, Pactola was shown to have some zebra mussels. We hope to find ways to mitigate the risk of them entering into our water system. So that is part of that contract. Number 11 is a request from Renner and John Newman for variances sidewalk on Skyline Ranch Road. We have, the staff recommendation is to approve. It is a somewhat rural area, so we recommend approval on that. Item number 12, again, is another sidewalk variance. That one is on Valley Drive, And again, that one is somewhat rural. There's no sidewalks out there currently. So staff recommendation is to approve that as well.
Thank you, Kristen. Would any of my colleagues like to pull an item? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Motion by Ham, second by Pettigrew. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Non-consent item, we're going to open public comment period. We have one speaker today, Mr. Dustin Coleman. If you'd come up to the podium, please. And you have 3 minutes.
All right, there we go. My name is Dustin Coleman. I live here in Rapid City and have a business here called Coltac. My wife and I moved it 2 years ago from New Hampshire out here. When we bought the building, we thought it was going to be big enough. We've seen such significant growth that we've had to hire on more people, and we need to add on an additional 10,000 square feet. With that, we are being asked to put in a sidewalk. We are out on Jet Drive in the industrial park out there, and there are no other sidewalks adjacent to us or anywhere near us other than the FBI building. There's going to be still an empty lot in between it, and yeah, so to put in a sidewalk that connects to nothing is a significant cost that we're really trying to save and be able to expand in other ways. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. If you want to stick around, we might have some questions up here. Item 13, request from Jim Semler on behalf of Dustin Coleman for a variance to waive the requirement to install sidewalk along Jet Drive and Concourse Drive per City Ordinance 12.08.060. Staff recommendation is to deny, and we're going to start with Mr. Pettigrew.
Thank you, Councilman Lehman. Dustin, I certainly understand your concern. I'm a businessman, and my property, don't want to turn this to an ad for my company, but we are located across from Menards. And when I put on an expansion at that point in time, for whatever reason, city did not require I put in a sidewalk when I bought my adjacent lot. But I told my developer we're putting it in. We didn't have a sidewalk. It stopped. It went to nowhere. The one along the side went to nowhere. I'm a strong believer in sidewalks, and I was out at your location over the weekend. I drove through that entire development. Again, my company's done a lot of work out there. I'm very familiar with it. You are correct, there aren't a lot of sidewalks. And that is why we cannot continue to grant variances for sidewalks. That's a growing area. The hospital, I think, has a facility out there. The county's gonna put I think their headquarters out there. There's a preschool out there. And if every business would have been required to put in sidewalks, there'd be sidewalks everywhere and people could walk. And I have a coworker whose wife works in that building that I think it's the hospital runs it, owns it. And he said when they go for walks, they gotta walk in the street. And I understand it's an expense, but maybe by you putting in the sidewalk will set a precedent, and everyone else then will see the benefits of a sidewalk. And I just cannot vote to deny this or to approve not putting sidewalks in. I'm just a strong advocate for sidewalks. Nothing personal, that's just my opinion, and I just believe that should go in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pettigrew. Mr. Ham?
Perhaps, do you know how, anybody here know, what's the nearest one presently? And I understand your comments, Mr. Pettigrew, I appreciate that.
There's one at 3600 Jet Drive.
And about how close is that? Yeah,
So 3600 Jet Drive is, there's a lot in between ours and theirs. It's probably a quarter mile. It's the FBI building.
Okay.
They didn't ask for variance because it's the FBI.
right. The FBI building did what they wanted? Is that what you're telling me? Okay.
Well, they, yeah.
And is there this neighborhood, is there a pathway directly to the adjacent neighborhood? So I know this is an industrial park. Is there a way to get to that neighborhood?
No.
Okay.
There's a big ditch in between us and where that neighborhood goes. To put a sidewalk in between, I'm not an engineer, but it'd be,
Hefty.
the other thing that makes our spot tough is we're a corner lot. So it's not just like it's a little sidewalk, it's gonna be a big sidewalk.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ham. Mr. Roseland?
Thank you. I drove by there this morning, and again, I noticed there was no sidewalks near your business at all. And I'm kind of request some information from Public Works. Would it be possible, if this gets approved, to be forced to put in sidewalks? Would every other business in that area, would the city be forced them to put in sidewalks, even though they were probably denied in the past? You know what I mean?
Like to come on. So you're asking if the city would then go back and force? It is my understanding that from a public works side, this is a council issue. So if that's something that the residents and the council would like to do later, it is my understanding that that would be a discussion to have. That area is a patchwork of sidewalks currently, as you saw when you drove by, and it is a somewhat of a high traffic area. Obviously, that ditch that is behind there is part of our stormwater system, so we would not look at putting a sidewalk there, but it is via the road attached to that Copperfield development that is further up the road.
Thank you. I just kind of confused why earlier denials were approved for sidewalks, and then one comes up and it's not approved in that same area, and that's kind of my question. It's kind of haphazard how these things get approved or not approved.
I don't have that information right now. I don't have that history here. Again, I would go back to the previous councils and assume that they had some reasoning for denying those. We make our recommendations and then the council either approves or disapproves those. Again, our approval was based on the possible traffic and then the patchwork of the sidewalks that are currently there.
Thank you very much. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Roseland. Mr. Roberts?
Thank you. And Pat, I'll answer your question real quick. So the city council has the ability and the right to call in sidewalks at any time. So we could go in, we could make up a list of places that we wanted to call them in. We could turn it over to Public Works and we could call those in at any time. But one of the things that I'll mention about this one specifically is before, it was less than a year ago, I'm sure you remember, Pat, to the very east of this in that cul-de-sac, that property to the north, we gave them a variance on their sidewalk. So, you know, I think it's a little, it's a little difficult to say, you know, 9 months ago, we gave this guy a variance, but we're not gonna give you a variance today. And I do understand the FBI building, yes, they didn't ask for it, they just put it in. You know, those were our tax dollars, so they didn't have to worry about, you know, saving money when you're building your own business. I get that. I would support the variance on this now. I mean, we have the ability, like I said, at any time to call in sidewalks. There isn't a heck of a lot of foot traffic out there. I've been in that area a lot over the years, and I've very seldomly seen much foot traffic in that area. Now, when the county moves in out there, that may change a little bit. Anyway, I would support the variance for the sidewalk on this.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Pettigrew?
Thank you, Council. I can't believe we can use what a previous council did 9 months ago as an argument for this. That area is growing. There is foot traffic out there. And I believe, to Patrick's question, I assume when all those businesses went in, everyone applied for a variance and the council granted it. That's how it happened. And that has to stop. We're gonna have a city with no sidewalks. And I'm an advocate for sidewalks. They cost money. I put in over 400 lineal feet of sidewalk around my building, and I paid for it, and I didn't ask for a variance. I'm not mad about that. I'm glad about that. We just have to stop granting these variances. It's an expense if you're gonna expand. It's an expense for business. And when you make the investment, it makes your property worth more and makes your property more usable and more attractive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make a motion to approve the request from Jim Semler on behalf of Dustin Coleman for a variance to waive the requirement to install sidewalk along Jet Drive and Concourse Drive.
Got a motion by Roberts. Second by Roseland. Were you finished, John?
I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Roseland, you had more comments?
Yeah, I just got a comment that would the sidewalk, just put a sidewalk on Jet Street rather than Concourse, would that be a problem? Or would that be a problem for you, sir, to just put it on Jet rather than Concourse?
I mean, since there's no other sidewalks that join that side, and like you mentioned, there's no foot traffic out there, we view it as a sidewalk to nowhere that's not gonna get used, that we then also have to maintain. I would ask that we don't have one on Jet Drive as well.
Thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Roseland. So the motion on the floor is to approve the variance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Mr. Pettigrew, motion passes. Motion to adjourn by Roberts, second by Roseland. All in favor? Any opposed? And we're adjourned.